Hi, everyone. Welcome to Shimmer Girl Talks. Isn't it amazing how every time I want to do a particular story, one just happens to fall right into my lap? Now, a few weeks ago, and I didn't get a chance to do it, I wanted to do a story on Tupac Shakur and his biological father and how his mother had been lying to him for years about who his father was. Then recently, and I plan to post both videos in my description box, you have Kirk Franklin, who also came forward talking about who he didn't even know that his father was still alive. His mother, too, was also lying to him about his father. Now, months ago, I wanted to do a video on suggesting to men and women, if you've only been getting your mother's side of the story about your father and you find out that your father is actually still alive, I was going to suggest go get his side of the story, because even if it turns out that he is a rat and you discover that on your own, that's one thing. But if you've been hearing your whole life how your father wasn't no good, he abandoned you and all of that stuff, go talk to him personally if you are able to. And I have shared on my channel before that I am a daddyless daughter. And I didn't find out till I was 14 that the man that I had been calling daddy wasn't even my biological father. And, I often joke in different scenarios, like I wish it could have been a camera aimed at my face when I found out that the man that I had been calling daddy wasn't really my father. I wish it had been a camera just pointed right at my face then and there. Ladies, I want you to understand, when you do that to your children, they typically don't resent the father, although they can resent the father, especially if you did a good job at poisoning their minds towards their father. But when that child realizes that they have been lied to, you can potentially be the one to be hated by your child or not trusted, or your child being upset with you. I don't think a lot of you understand, and I don't get it. When you are a child, even when you become an adult, there is like a piece of you missing when your father isn't there. And I could barely get through Kirk Franklin's video because it was that raw and that hard. And even though he is a 50-year-old man, meeting or realizing who his father was for the first time in his life, it was heartbreaking. And his mother still wanted to lie to him about his father, even though DNA evidence showed that he was 99.999% the father. And same thing with Tupac Shakur. And let me interject this real fast since I'm, speaking on him. So a murder suspect has finally been arrested in his murder. And I think that that is a great thing. I don't have all of the story behind that, but I think we all kind of knew eventually the truth would come out in the wash. Again, still don't know the full story behind it. It's just now coming out, like within the past 2 or 3 days. But I do want to get back to this, the lie about the absent father and stuff like that. A lot of times, like in Kirk Franklin's situation, his father didn't even know he existed. You have some men out there who don't even know that they have a child by a particular woman. I don't know how they don't know if they were sleeping with the woman, but you do have women who take the kid and whisk the child away for whatever her reasons are. And then that child later discovers that, their biological father is in another state or another city or whatever. And this is so damaging to a child's self-esteem. And like I said, you feel a void. Even if, mama has a new man or whatever, children aren't stupid. We can pick up on things. We might not be able to articulate what is going on, but we know something is off. Because even when I was a little girl, I grew up with two brothers, but I used to wonder, why did I look so much different than them? I always thought that they had like cute little faces. They were lighter skinned than me. Stuff like that. But again, I used to wonder why they got better treatment by our father, not knowing he wasn't my father, even though he had been my father since I was 1 year old. And I am so much in agreement with it being mandatory DNA tests before the child, before the man puts his name on the birth certificate. And it's unfortunate that it's going to end up hurting a lot of children and maybe a lot of men too. And I've seen videos or whatever of women, because they had the baby, they were with a particular man when they had that baby. And in her mind, she's like, this is an innocent little baby. Why are you hating? Why can't you just love that baby? But if that is not his biological child, it is not up to you to decide how that man should feel about it, especially if you were sneaking behind his back, sleeping with somebody else. It's a lot that goes into that. But going back to Kirk Franklin and Tupac Shakur, I'm so glad that they were able to get it settled with their father before it was too late. It was too late for me because even by the time I was 14 and I had found out that the man that I was calling daddy was not really my daddy, my biological father had already been dead for 7 years. So I never got that closure. So a lot of people might be like, because on my channel, I do talk a lot about, getting married before you have children, and I have a lot of, opinions about single mothers and stuff like that. What people need to understand is when I was a child on the other end of the single mother. So if anybody has a right to speak about it, it's the ones of us who were affected by the single motherhood scenario situations. And I grew up during a time where it was still frowned upon to be a single mother. It was still, even though and I've mentioned this on my channel before, we lived in a neighborhood, I guess you could call it the projects. It didn't look like the projects from Good Times, for example. They were more like townhomes, but it was low income, probably 99% single Black mothers. And the only reason why we ended up moving there is because my mother had left and divorced my stepfather, who is my brother's biological father. So that's why we ended up there. And I can remember as a girl, it was different. It was a community of Black women and their children. And looking back now, I mean, it was the norm. But as I got older and as I think back on it now, I knew something wasn't particularly right about that. It should be a father there, a dad in the home. And as a matter of fact, I remember there was this neighborhood boy. His name was Gary. And he used to laugh at my my brother's father, which at the time it was our father, because I did not know, as I've said before, that he wasn't my father. And my mother wouldn't let him in the house. And so, he would stand at the window and talk to my brothers. He didn't talk to me. Again, it was just the norm. I didn't understand why I was being treated different. I literally did not understand this. So, anyway, so the neighborhood boy, he would like laugh about it. And I can remember saying to him in school, well, at least they have a dad. Where's your father? Or at least we have a dad. Where's your father? So I just wanted to kind of discuss that because I am I'm pro nuclear family. Children need both their mother and their father. And I have an issue with women who think that that their role is the only important role, when the father's role is important as well. And as I've mentioned in a previous video, a lot of these mothers are not being honest about how they became a single mother. Now, that was my topic for today. I hope that you check out my other videos. And sorry I was not, in front of the camera today, but, those will come in the future. And check out my other videos. Make sure you like, subscribe, and tell me your thoughts about the mandatory DNA testing and about Kirk Franklin and Tupac Shakur finding out about their biological father later in life. And I will talk to you later. Bye.